Well, it took a little longer than we expected, but Longshore and McKnight are back ready to go on this Wednesday morning. So glad you're with us. I'm John Longshore, and he is Barry McKnight.
This is our new venture. This is John. This is me. This is us. This is our medium. This is our show. And we are certainly excited about it. Now, we do feel, John, for a lot of the people who have who've been gracious enough to say, man, can't wait to see you guys back. Looking forward to this program. First of all, got to say thank you to them. The support. The support of all of our fans and of so many great sponsors is the reason we're here. But here's the background. We are dependent upon you. We've been together for 26 years. We've gotten a lot of success in the past, but this is a new medium for us. We're kind of easing into it a little bit. And here's how you can help, John. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button as well. It's right there on your screen, or it should be. And that really helps us out. But John, what we can provide, what we can promise is we're going to be unfiltered. There's no FCC rules, which makes me nervous about John a little bit. Now we don't have to adhere to the FCC stuff because we're not on the public airwaves. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot of sports. We're going to talk a lot of stuff. And we are glad to be back and kicking this thing off on Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You know, Barry, if this had been 26 years ago and we were just kicking this off, you might need to be a little bit more worried about the lack of FCC regulations. But I think I've kind of grown up and matured a little bit. So I'm going to try to button it up and try to bite my lip at times if I think I need to express myself in that way. But I don't think that's going to happen. And you're right, Barry. We want to thank our good friends at Bama Budweiser and Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light. Our good friends at Stivers Automotive with Stivers Ford here in Montgomery. And, of course, Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Price sells cars. Our good friends at Phoenix Physical Therapy, getting you back in the game is what they are all about. And, of course, Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air, serving the River region for over 116 years. Obviously doing something right there at Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air. They're also now serving the Auburn, Opelika area as well. So just a few of our great sponsors, many others that we're going to be telling you about as well throughout this broadcast. And, of course, without them, we couldn't be here. And without you, we couldn't be here either. So as Barry mentioned, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends, tell all your business associates, tell your uncle, whoever it may be, let them know we are here each and every day, live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9. And then, of course, Barry, you know me, I'm not this technical mumbo jumbo guy. You're probably going to have to explain this a little bit more. But after we go live, people are going to be able to watch us and listen to us really on their schedule.
Well, the fun thing is, and I'm with you on this, a lot of this is new to me to a degree, but, you know, you tell your friends, hey, man, Longshore and McKnight, man, those guys have been together. They're dynamite and everything. You guys need to watch them 7 to 9 in the morning. Well, I can't watch it 7 to 9 in the morning. This is where we work for you. We're going to be on 24/7. The program will loop over and over and over again through the day. Oh, man, you can listen to them and watch them anytime. It's going to be great. So, you know, we're looking out for you. Yeah, 24/7. You're 24/7 Longshore and McKnight. Are you kidding me?
Well, you know, and it's interesting. You know, it's interesting. It's unfiltered, as you mentioned, because you're going to see me look at my phone. And I will say this, Barry, I'm so many things I'm excited about. But I got to tell you, there's a lot. But this is one thing over the last 8 months that has really been tough. You know, I like to drink coffee when we're on the air. So over the last 8 months, I just told people, hold on a second. I'm taking a sip of coffee. Now that you can talk, I can drink my coffee while you're talking.
Already within the first 4 minutes of the program, there's two major revelations from my co-host. Number one, he doesn't know the technical mumbo jumbo. And number two, he drinks coffee a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking news here on Longshore and McKnight already in the first 5 minutes. Geez.
It is brilliant. And then, of course, you know, we'll tell you a little bit about our studio setup. Yeah, I probably need a little makeup on the forehead here. It's a little bright here in studio, but we're getting that worked out. But, you know, Barry, I think I got to go to Walmart and get some of those egg crates to put on the wall because I'm getting a little bounce back here. So we're working on the Echo, but it's, you know, a little work in progress. And we're taking some baby steps as we get things going. And but we're really excited about it. Got a lot of good plans, a lot of guests coming up that are going to be joining us. We'll probably kick that off tomorrow with Jason Caldwell and Rodney Orr on Thursdays. And then, of course, on Friday, we got a lot going on and a lot scheduled there as well. Don't want to give you too many of the secrets out there just yet, but man, we're really excited about getting this thing kicked off.
For those people who are just happening by on YouTube and see this subscription and see, hey, wonder what these guys are about. Here's a little bit of backstory for us. John and I first, and this is not going to take long. This is again just for the newbies out there. We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time talking about that. But John and I first worked together in 1997 in Montgomery. We first got introduced the first day we were supposed to do the show together. I at the time was living in Auburn, doing a lot of Auburn stuff, and John, that's another aspect of the show that I think some people spend too much time on. John went to school at Alabama. I went to school at Auburn. And that was supposed to be the thing. And we're looking at each other and, kind of figuring each other out. Well, the show worked for 26 years. And, we've had a good bit of success. We've always hit our ratings goals. We've always exceeded our sales goals, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the background for John and me. For those of you who do not know, we've been together on a show for 26 years. We know each other. The hook, it's not that, John went to school at Alabama and I went to school at Auburn. I'm in Troy right now. I'm the voice of the Troy Trojans and extremely proud about that. But the hook, if there is one, I mean, we're just two guys talking sports, who know a little bit about what we're talking about. The hook is that we are just about completely different in everything. And we acknowledge those we embrace those differences.
Oh, yeah.
We wish people in the country would embrace their differences as easily as John and I do. We don't agree on much in the world of sports anyway. And so that leads to some hopefully some quality topics, some quality conversation. That is the quick 2-minute setup as to what Longshore and McKnight has meant to a lot of people in the past, but we're hoping to branch out a little bit more with our new venture here starting today.
Well, Barry, you're right. The last 26 years has been a lot of back and forth, a lot of vanilla and chocolate, salt and pepper, because you're right. We don't agree on a lot of things. Some we do, but certainly there's been a lot of things that have happened over the last 8 months. And as Barry alluded to, unfortunately, that's when we were split apart, not by what we didn't want it to happen, but somebody else did. And it's been a tough period, no doubt, but glad to be back together. And during the 8 months, Barry, I filled up a legal pad. So I got a lot of things that I've been thinking about over the last 8 months. I wonder what Barry's thoughts about this are going to be.
Here we go.
Wonder what this is going to be. So we're going to slowly throw it out there to folks. Not all at one time, but a lot of things that have gone on that I just haven't, gotten your feedback on. And on Friday, I'm kind of thinking, because I did throw this out there earlier this year in the spring. But my predictions over the last 12 months, I got to tell you, I did pretty good. And then I've made some other crazy predictions for the next 12 months. Yeah. Really looking forward to your reaction to some of those later this week.
Also, we come to you for the first time on the cusp of the college football season. It's week 0. I know John's chomping at the bit for some of the week 0 games. Montana and New Mexico coming up this Saturday. Delaware State and Hawaii. There's some good ones. I love Florida State and Georgia Tech. I love, Florida State brings some zing. Georgia Tech, not so much. So, and then the next week, obviously, a week from this Saturday, is when it really gets started in college football. That was one of the reasons why we had this as a target date for the kickoff of this show. I'd like to be able to get into, at some point, maybe not this Friday, probably next week, our predictions for the upcoming season for Auburn, for Alabama, go through the SEC, see what we think, because another aspect of our history is that John's usually dead wrong on all of his SEC predictions, and I'm usually right down the line. It's been crazy. It's been eerie just how right I've been on everything.
Well, we'll let you be the judge of that, the listening and viewing audience out there via YouTube. We appreciate that. Very loving the first text coming through on the River Region Straw Text Hotline 9 minutes in before we got our first lip flutter. Hey, You know, you just never know when those are coming.
Yeah.
Probably the first throat clear is coming in a couple of minutes as well. So
Be a few sighs. Yeah.
a few sighs, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to know our audience, some of our longtime listeners, remember the lip flutter. Yeah, and this weekend, it is a lip flutter weekend, Barry. Now, Florida State, Georgia Tech, I'm a little interested in that one. Of course, I don't like the 11 o'clock kick. I mean, I don't get it, but I guess it's, 6 o'clock in Dublin. So they're playing local time, but here it'll be 11 a.m., and then you're right. But here's the unique thing, Barry. You know, I'm always thinking about Auburn. You know that. For, 30-plus years, Auburn has always been at my best interest. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, the history books tell you that. Auburn fans, this is very important because for week 0, 2 of your upcoming opponents will be on the schedule. No, excuse me. One of them will be, and one for Troy. So Troy fans, you got to be paying attention as well. New Mexico plays this Saturday. So does Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada and SMU. I'm definitely going to be watching that. SMU and Nevada play this Saturday night at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Troy plays Nevada a week from Saturday at the Vet with a new coaching staff, with a lot of new players. That's a 6 o'clock start there. So Troy fans, watch out for that Nevada game against SMU, now a member of the ACC. We've got a lot to address with all of that as well, John. I mean, you and I are looking at a big pile of sand that we're going to have to start pounding real soon on a lot of this stuff. So, yeah, looking forward to getting into that. I mean, I'll be watching that one. The rest of them, Hawaii and Delaware State may take a pass on that one, may just strictly out of hunger take a look at it.
Now, there again, if you'd asked me, does Delaware State have a football team? If you say they do, that's a first for me.
John didn't know Delaware State had a university. He didn't know that was a school.
Yeah. Now, is it the University of Delaware that's the Blue Hens? Maybe.
Where's my little ding sound? Yeah, that's one. That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. Where's my bell? I knew I left something down there. But where's Hawaii playing now? Didn't they condemn Aloha Stadium?
They did. They played last year, because I remember watching at the beginning of the year last year, another one of those week 0 games. I want to say they played Vanderbilt in I may be wrong, in Honolulu last year.
Yeah.
I remember it's the TC Ching Athletic Complex.
Wait a minute. TC Chin played in the U.S. Open, and he double hit a chip shot out of the rough, and they named the football stadium after him.
What was the name? What was the name of the Mr. T character in the A-Team?
B.A. Baracus.
I knew it was. Anyway, it's the the TC Ching Athletic Complex, and it seated about 5,000.
Wow.
You know, I mean, they had aluminum seats and all that kind of stuff. That's how many they drew in Aloha Stadium anyway, so it's no big deal. Northwestern this year, they got a new stadium they're building. They're in the place that's going to seat about 12,000. Of course, Vanderbilt, that place is still under construction. But you've got the week 0 games, and we'll talk about a couple of those.
Sure.
But we also are looking forward to, again, conference realignment. We've got a lot to dig in terms of that, what it looks like, who it benefits, the college football playoff. We're going to get into this a little bit later on, but this is just a matter of time. Something that John has absolutely pounded the drum on for years is a 16-team college football playoff. He was the one, not anybody else telling you differently. He was the one that got the playoff started in the first place, the 4-team playoff.
I mean, Barry, how many times did we see Bill Hancock rolling up and down Radio Row at media days, and I nudge and go, here he comes. Here, I know what I'm going to hear. Nope, we're not talking about a playoff. We love the bowl system. No interest whatsoever. And I'm sitting there watching his nose grow. I'm saying, man, don't be telling me that. I know y'all are going to a playoff.
This is the Longshore Freak. Bill Hancock, the former executive director of the college football committee. We're not thinking about a playoff. This is what John hears. Playoffs coming. Can't wait. Ready for it. So, they get to a 4 team, and I said, okay, you're satisfied. And no, he's not satisfied.
No, heck no.
Let's get to a 8 team. Let's get to a 12 team. We're at a 12 team now. And now that we're at that point, I fully acknowledge that it's not going to be very long before we get to a 16.
Well, here's what I'm hearing. And, let me do this real quick.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep my clock together. And Barry, you mentioned, yeah, this is new to me, believe me. Well, in more ways than one. I mean, I was telling our producer, Gurn Jr., who's actually in Nashville, and we want to give a shout out to our great producer.
Big time, yes.
Yep, he is. Believe it, Barry's in
him.
Troy. I'm in Montgomery, and our producer, Gurn, is in Nashville. So how about that? We're all over the place. But actually, Barry, you wouldn't believe this. I was set up ready to go at 6:30 this morning. Now, I did tell Gurn, don't get used to this. Once we get this going and the ball's rolling, it's probably going to be a little bit closer to 7
this is
before you see me.
Hey, here we are. Yeah. I'm fully prepared for that. Anyway.
So let me before we get into that. All right, look, great sponsors. Really appreciate everybody. And going to be going over these, but as Barry mentioned, Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. You see the logos, you see the signage. Our good friends there at Bud Light, our good friends at Stivers Ford, Price Sells Cars. And of course, they've got more vehicles on the lot right now for you to check out at their lots in Montgomery at Stivers Ford or Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. And in Prattville, they're the largest volume Ram dealer in the state 2 years running. And here in Montgomery, you can get the F-150, which is America's best-selling truck for close to 50 years in a row. Think about that. The F-50, close to 50 years in a row, America's best-selling truck. Also, our good friends from Dixie Electric, Phoenix Physical Therapy, and of course, several other great sponsors that we have that you're used to hearing on our program, and great businesses here in the River region. We're going to be telling you all about that throughout our broadcast here for the coming days and weeks and years. So we really appreciate their help for getting this started with Longshore and McKnight.
This is so great. We are already you're getting texts. I'm getting texts. My buddy Les is watching us on the big screen down in Ozark. My buddy Greg is watching us in Troy. Our buddy Mitchell, he's in Tuscaloosa right now watching us. Appreciate all you guys. This is a new venture for us. We are still, this is another thing before we get into other, we will continually evolve this. There will be plenty of opportunities for you to interact, you the viewers, to interact with us. That's all coming. This is, what do they call it in the retail business, John? This is a soft opening more than anything else. There'll be more bells, there'll be more whistles, and believe me, we are committed. I don't think we would do this if we didn't have plenty of different avenues for our listeners to interact with us. All that is coming. We believe you, and more than you will have ever had before with Longshore and McKnight.
Yeah, that's a great, I'm glad you brought that up, because, we're kind of rolling things out today. Obviously, right here before the start of the football season, high schools get going this weekend. Some college games that Barry mentioned, of course. But then, of course, the full slate the following week, the NFL. So really wanted to get things going as we get into football. But, we're kind of, just kind of easing into it. And we really feel like by the time that, we do kind of kick things off, we'll really be ready to go. But, certainly a lot of different ways for you to consume our content, whether it's live from 7 until 9 every morning. You can pick it up on your phone through the YouTube app and just search Longshore and McKnight. So if you're in your car, you can listen on your phone, through your Bluetooth, through your smart speaker. More ways will be coming in the future for you to consume what we have here each and every day. But, we're really looking forward to it, very excited about it. In terms of communicating with us, Barry, you're right, certainly getting a lot of text here early this morning. We're glad about that. We've got a chat set up as well, and we're going to give you some information on that as well of how you can type in a little message that we can share. I'm looking at it on the screen here, and Gurn up in Nashville is going to give us all the information to get that going. But, man, it looks great.
It's going to be great. Our buddy Fred the Dorfman. How about that? We understand from my friend Ricky that Delaware State missed their flight yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Don't know why. Breaking news. That matchup with Hawaii coming up this Saturday may be in severe doubt. We really want all of that commentary from you in our live chat, and there's some great stuff. Daniel
now,
and
Barry,
Joe and
is the reason that Hawaii is a 39.5 point favorite in this game because Delaware State missed their flight? because I can't believe Hawaii's a 39.5-point favorite against anybody.
Yeah,
State must be terrible.
Well, if Delaware State shows up, the line immediately goes to 49. They're only a 39.5-point underdog because they're not going to be there as well. But
how many times do you see a team that's a favorite of almost 40 points and the total is only 57?
Ooh, they're not showing Delaware State's going to be able to score very
I don't
much.
think so.
We're going to have a lot of commentary about the college football playoff. Gosh, we got a lot to get to with everybody, and there's going to be a lot of we're catching up on a lot of stuff before we were so rudely interrupted before. But I do want to ask a couple of things. Sure. Just your thoughts. Again,
I know you're dying to ask me about this. About this, am I pointing the right way? Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get used to that.
You see that football right there?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is that the 2011 national championship?
Yeah, that is the
game,
Auburn national. Yeah. I'm representing. See, I told you already 20 minutes in. Yeah. That's the
How
Auburn.
about that?
Let me see if I can get it out of the glass here.
Easy. Yeah, it's gonna fall and it's gonna.
See
what?
Yeah. How about that? War Eagle.
How in the world?
That's from my brother-in-law over in Atlanta that's listening this morning. He and his wife, both Auburn grads, and
unbelievable.
Give him a little shout out there today. But yeah, I got my Bama balls over here and Camellia ball. I got a couple of other things on the set that I'll be showing as we get through the program. I got my golf bag right over there.
I was wondering if those were socks. I'm thinking, did he not pick up his socks from this morning? How
about this driver head cover with Tito's on it? How about that?
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Now I know what you're going to be doing on commercial breaks.
Because when things don't go well on the front side, I'm into the Tito's.
Well, here's what I wanted to ask you about. Just top of your mind. I'm not going to get into a lot of the lines. Nevada and Troy. Troy's a more than a 2-touchdown favorite against Nevada, who will have already played a game when Troy plays them next week down in Troy. Gosh, we got a lot to catch up with the Alabama situation. Alabama on Saturday against Western Kentucky, 6:00 ESPN. What do we feel about? What is it? 31.5
is you well know, Barry, over the last 27 years or so.
Yeah,
there were games on the schedule that I would give a lip flutter to, and basically say, do they really expect to see me at a game against a school like Western Kentucky? I mean, why do they schedule these people?
Hey, Western Kentucky, their starting quarterback at Western Kentucky this year, TJ Finley. Sell a few tickets there.
Yeah, I got to come clean and tell you, I would normally not be at this type of game, particularly Labor Day weekend, 6:00 kick. But my number 3 child today, in about an hour and 30 minutes, will attend his first class at the University of Alabama. Now, I hope he's up. I hope he's had a good breakfast. Didn't stay out too late last night. He's found where the class is taking place. You know, my problem, Barry, my first day at school at Alabama back in the 80s.
Caught him by surprise. Yeah.
I woke up and said, now, where is this building again? Where am I going? You know,
understand, John had been going to the University of Alabama's Tuscaloosa campus for years.
Yeah.
He knew, how shall I put this? He knew a lot of spots in Tuscaloosa. Classrooms were not among those spots.
I didn't know where Bidgood Hall was. I can promise you. Now, Gillette's, the Brass Monkey, Lee's Tomb,
sure,
yeah. So anyway,
it's hard to believe because I was talking with Dee, my wife, about your kids and everything.
Yeah.
And she says, "Well, how old is the youngest?" And I said, "He's junior in high school, senior in high school, something like that."
So actually, the two young ones are 11th graders. One of them just came out of his room, walked by network control here. The other one kind of doesn't fall far from the nut, doesn't fall far from the tree. He's going to be straggling out here in just a couple of minutes, wet hair, the whole deal. So yeah, those two are in 11th grade, juniors in high school, but number 3 starting his freshman year today, first class is today. So anyway, we've got to be at the game against Western Kentucky. It is what they call the Montgomery Mothers' responsibility. They're serving lunch to all of the fraternity or his pledge class. So we're going to be up there for that. So
6 o'clock Saturday night.
Yeah.
John will slide in 5:57, second verse of the national anthem, maybe.
Probably so. And there again, I'll continue this tradition, Barry. If anybody's got some extra sweet tickets, if you'd like for me to sit with you in your box or in the zone, I might can work it out.
Yeah.
I can get to Tuscaloosa on my own. I'm not looking for a ride. But
if there is one,
I'm in. Yeah.
The comments are open. The comments are open. Ready for that as well. But 39.5 in that one. I got it. I don't know. Obviously, this is an interesting situation. I don't know if you ever had it this, but I don't know that I've ever gone into a college football season since you and I have known each other, and that's been forever, where I have had less of a feel about Auburn and Alabama. I just, with Alabama, the changes were so seismic, and you don't want to compare. The standard at Alabama. Can it be what Nick Saban did? Can it be 6 national championships in 8 years? Can you do that for Kalin DeBoer and be fair to him? I don't see it.
I don't either. I don't think that's fair. I mean, that's a good way that you put it. I think there's a learning curve, no doubt. And I think from what we've seen so far, Alabama fans are happy. I mean, let's face it. When Nick Saban stepped down, I don't think we were. I think we knew it was coming, but I think just the shock of hearing, wow, Nick Saban is stepping down. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It hit late in the day, and people are kind of freaking out. I wasn't, surprised or shocked, but maybe just the timing of it a little bit did surprise me. Got over that. And then, of course, Kalin DeBoer. Wait a minute. Who's this guy? Who? Kalin who? Barry, I made this comment. If you'd have asked me, me, if you'd have asked me this time last year, John, tell me about Kalin DeBoer, my first reaction would have been, who?
Yeah.
I didn't really know a lot about this guy.
We had all of these conversations over the years, and the fans didn't necessarily embrace that because they, had the fingers in their ear. No, I don't want to think about it. About who would replace Saban. We had some good times and some long conversations about that. Dabo Swinney, he'd crawl back to Tuscaloosa, or I think it ought to be Lane Kiffin, or way back in the day, for some reason, Dick Sheridan was a guy, going to be this guy, going to be that guy. Never, not once was anybody 4 years ago saying, when he retires, I like this defensive coordinator at Indiana University named Kalin DeBoer. I like that guy. It was never a thing. So my point is, it's not that Alabama is not going to be successful. They are. It's not that they're not going to win a lot of games. They will. But, John, if they don't win the national championship in the next couple of years, people. I know people that are going to be, all right, it's about that time. Come on now. It's been a little while since they've won one, and relatively speaking, for Alabama perspective.
Well, and as well as I do, everything's gone well so far. Kalin DeBoer comes into Tuscaloosa, saying the right things, doing well in recruiting. I mean, we're going to talk about A.K. Dyer, the number 1 running back in the country who committed earlier this week. Bama fans very excited about that. He's done well. I mean, number 2 recruiting class. I ask Rodney Orr. We'll ask him again tomorrow when he joins us. Did Nick Saban ever have this many 5-stars in a class, particularly early? I know the Julio Jones class was really big, and that kind of got things going.
Yeah.
But, man, I mean, you look at this class of commitments, there are a lot of 5-stars there, but everything's going great. And he's saying the right things, and They had a huge, brutal, physical practice scrimmage
Right.
on Saturday.
And fans were loving it. They're like, yeah.
That's what they want to hear. 100-plus
Right.
plays. But, Barry, you know as well as I do, when they roll into that game against Georgia and they walk out of Bryant-Denny Stadium and they're 2-2, they lose to Wisconsin maybe, people will be jumping off the Black Warrior Bridge. I mean, that's all this is great right now. But, Kalin, you better be winning because we're not used to losing in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, people, I guess if you're going to, Bama fans, whomever, you need to compare yourself to Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
If there is comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy, if there is comparison, you need to compare yourself to Kirby Smart and what he's built at Georgia. If you have to compare, you can't compare it to Saban. You can't. That's an unfair comparison. And he's the best that there ever was. You have to be a little bit patient. Something that I'm not all that confident that Alabama fans can be. But they open up against Western Kentucky, and there's going to be a jillion people there just to see what a Kalin DeBoer team looks like. And I can't wait for the first show after that game because you're going to hear the entire spectrum of fans. I do not know what to expect. I'll be upfront about all that. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Are looking for, Barry, is we want to see this Kalin DeBoer explosive offense that we saw and heard about at Washington. I mean, this guy, it's all about offense. So we want to see what this is going to be like. And I think that kind of got some Alabama fans a little sideways. Now, wait a minute. We don't want it, tricked out, and we don't want to see, the run and shoot and balls all over the place. We're a physical ground and pound and tough type of football program. And I still think that's going to be the case, evidenced by the scrimmage last Saturday. But I do think you're going to see an offense that is expanded, is explosive. Barry, when I got back from Pasadena back in January, I get on the air the first day and I say, Barry, I'm just not sold on Jaylen Milroe. And you're, of course, shaking your head going, what, are you crazy? Are you
crazy?
But I'm expecting to see a bigger role out of Jaylen Milroe. I'm expecting to see, an expanded playbook. I talked about passes across the middle of the field. Didn't see a lot of those last year. Didn't see a lot of opportunities where Jaylen had chances to check out of a bad situation into a good one. And I do think that they've really been preaching patience. Don't take off so quick. Stay in the pocket a little bit longer. Survey the field. I think you're going to see a little bit more of that as well. So I'm expecting to see an improved Jaylen Milroe, and I hope so because I'm a big fan of this young man. I think he's a great face for the program. I mean, he made the rounds up in New York last month. CBS, NBC, ESPN, the whole deal. Did a great job. And I think that's going to translate on the field this fall.
Yeah, if anybody, in this age of NIL, and who knows how much of that is involved in Alabama's relatively surprising early recruiting haul, who knows how much of a factor it played in Auburn's recruiting, and Auburn's been recruiting their brains out as well. But if anybody deserves whatever he can get from the NIL, and I think everybody should, but if anybody really does, it's Jaylen Milroe, because not only has he produced on the field, but what a wonderful kid. What a great role model. What a polished guy in front of the media. If anybody has a bright brand in college football, it's that guy. Whenever he snuck up behind Saban on the set at the SEC network at SEC Media Days down in Dallas and gave him a, even the mamas who don't even pay that much attention to football. I mean, oh, Jaylen, that's so great. He has been a revelation, and I expect a big year out of him.
In media days, I thought he just did a fantastic job. I thought all the players did. Auburn players as well. I thought they were just great representatives for both schools. And looking back at all the other schools that were represented, they're always bringing good ones. I mean, they're bringing guys that are charismatic and can certainly interview well and are great faces to the program. I got to tell you, Barry, some of these outfits they show up in, whew, man, I mean, it's interesting.
It's not me. No.
It's not
me and
either.
John are fairly standard, but
But they do a
Uh,
good, they're great with it. And with Alabama, there again, it's the new coaching staff, it's the new style. Everybody's freaked out about the defensive backfield. What's going to happen in the secondary? I thought Malachi Moore stated it best. He said, "Look, we got some great young faces. We got some new transfers. I'm telling you, these guys can ball out. I've seen it. Just get a program. You're going to need to know their names because after about 2 or 3 games, you're certainly going to know who they are."
Yeah.
And I think Alabama fans like that comfort and certainty of, okay, this guy's coming back. I know him. I know he can play. But now they don't have that because there's so many new faces. And I think that's where they're a little nervous in that secondary.
Again, for those people who are just tuning in, this is the inaugural edition of Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. I'm Barry McKnight. He's John Longshore over there. We've been together for 26, 27 years. We, we have our likes, our dislikes. It's always been a really energetic program. We really appreciate everybody being with us. As you're watching us, maybe for the first time, we'd like to say welcome. We are getting the kinks out on this, but I love it. So, Gurn Jr., you're knocking it out of the park. But it's going to get better. We're going to continue to add bells and whistles, continue to add ways for our listeners and viewers to be able to interact with us. There's going to be, as John mentioned, special guests. For those of you who have ever wondered what Jason Caldwell looks like, or some of the other guests we're going to get a lot of video content from that as well. And we also are appreciative of all of our sponsors as well.
Oh, yeah.
The main thing you can do, if you're liking this, if you're liking what people have come to know and appreciate for over a generation with John and me and the content, make sure you don't just tune us in on our YouTube channel and tell your friends. Just go to YouTube and search Longshore and McKnight. You'll find us easily. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click that like button down at the bottom of the screen as well. That's our lifeblood. The more likes we get, the more interaction we get from our viewers and listeners, the best it's going to be for all of us.
Well, you're right about that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's very, very important. And you mentioned, Barry, our fine sponsors. And, I got to tell you, they wanted us to do this. They wanted us back together. Right. They wanted us on this platform, and they had a lot to do with this. And they certainly encouraged us to do it, and we greatly appreciate it. I mentioned, obviously, our good friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Stivers Automotive with Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram up in Prattville, Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air serving the River region for over 116 years, and Phoenix Physical Therapy getting you back in the game is what they're all about. But there's more, Barry. Our good friends at Riverbank who bring you Tom Luganville. You got it. Lugs is back with us on Mondays each and every week, and want to thank our good friends at Riverbank and Trust with locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Also, our friends at Jim Massey Cleaners. Take your man to the cleaners with Jim Massey Cleaners, bringing you Lee Sterling, who will join us on Fridays during the year as well. Also, Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk, he's back with us as well. Our man Kenny at River Region Straw.
Forget about it. Kenny?
You know what it takes to get the Phantom to come on? It takes Kenny at River Region Straw, and he's got him. So all of your landscaping needs, get the premium long needle pine straw from our friends at River Region Straw. How about Lyle and the gang at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry right there at 8163 Vaughn Road in Pepper Tree? I mean, hometown people taking care of all your jewelry needs, not just new jewelry items, but any type of repair or taking something old and making it new again. Marguerite's can do it, open 7 days a week. Our friends at Robert Trent Jones Golf, of course, Will Fisher and Brian Reynolds, Will at Capitol Hill, Brian down at Cambrian Ridge in Greenville. Great folks, championship world-class golf in your own backyard with RTJ. The city of Montgomery, of course, bringing you our guest hotline, and we really appreciate our friends at the city and being a big part of what we do. Ray Bowles at Prattville Carpet, flooring you for decades, any type of flooring item you may need. Destin Connection, our man Range Pro over there with the absolute freshest seafood direct from the Gulf. Of course, Destin Connection brings you Rodney Orr each and every week. And the Tider Insider will be with us tomorrow at 8 a.m. Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover will join us at 7:30 tomorrow.
Got a lot to cover, a lot to catch up on with those guys. I'll admit, since I was on hiatus from January, I've missed those guys. I get a chance to listen in every once in a while, and of course, we try to keep in touch and everything. But looking forward to their perspective, because I really, really do not know what to expect from Auburn or Alabama. I do know this about Auburn. I do feel strongly about this from Auburn. They open up on a Saturday week against Alabama A&M at 6:30. That'll be on the SEC network.
Okay.
I like the pieces, the core pieces. Peyton Thorne is never going to win a game by himself at quarterback, but I think a year helps him. Jarquez Hunter is going to be productive, no question about that. I think the big struggles that Peyton Thorne had last year are, quite frankly, because he had receivers that couldn't get open, John.
No doubt.
The guys that could catch, I guess, but you got to have at least a little bit of separation for him to throw the ball. And I remember when you and I played in the Afternoon Avengers versus the Morning Maulers one time out there at Huntington in the rain, in the mud. Paul King, remember him? Paul King,
yeah. Sure.
WAKA.
Yeah. Oh,
he was
definitely.
our quarterback, left-handed. He couldn't have anybody to throw to, because it was sloppy. It was that's fine if you're a bunch of old geezers, who are playing with sprained fingers and stuff like that. But not when you're a Division I wide receiver. I think if Auburn's going to be successful, and I think they will be, you're going to have a lot of freshmen.
No doubt,
that have got to step up.
I think you're exactly right, and you hit it on the head. Auburn's receivers last year weren't very good. Couldn't get open, couldn't get separation. A lot of times they couldn't catch a pass, hitting them right in the hands, and it obviously was very frustrating for Peyton Thorne, frustrating for Auburn fans and the coaches. But I think you're going to see that area really improved. I think the offensive line is going to be improved as well. Let's face it, Barry. I can think back prior to Bo Nix, Auburn quarterbacks running for their lives, couldn't get any protection, couldn't stand back there in the pocket. I think that's going to be better this year as well. And I said this when they hired Hugh Freeze, you got to be patient. This isn't going to happen overnight. Now, Auburn fans are very excited, and you should be, the way that Hugh Freeze and this staff have recruited, particularly in the state of Alabama. We're going to get into that a little bit later as well. But there's your first sign right there of the future being brighter, but you got to be patient. But Barry, I think one of the big things maybe people are overlooking is the first 5 games. They're all at home, and the first 3 are certainly winnable. Alabama A&M, Cal, and New Mexico. I know what. No, this is New Mexico, not New Mexico State. There's a difference.
Right.
So to me, those 3 games right there get these young wide receivers confident. They play on a big stage in the SEC in front of 90,000 people. So the butterflies, I think the jitters are going to be gone by the time Arkansas rolls into town. And I think Auburn's very fortunate there, because Arkansas, I love Sam Pittman. I'd love to have a cold beer with Sam, but I don't think they're going to be any good this year. And I think they've already got their future head coach already there, and Bobby Petrino. He'll come back to lead the Hogs after Pittman steps down. It's amazing. You get a co-ed on the back of your Harley and have a wreck, scrape your face up, and spend some time away from the program and end up being the next head coach, which I think is going to happen.
I don't know. Anyway,
they'll win those 4, and then Oklahoma comes to town, and if they beat the Sooners, they're 5-0 before they go to Athens, their first road game. I got to think these young players by that point are going to be seasoned, confident, comfortable, and ready to play SEC football. So to me, Auburn's schedule, now at first, because it gets a lot more difficult on the back end, but at first, it's a great way to start out 2024.
I'm calling it right now. Auburn beats Oklahoma at Jordan-Hare Stadium on the 28th. That is going to happen. But you're right. The young players, there's so many things about Auburn that I'm excited about. Number one, to me, is the influx of young talent. Number two, like you said, they're starting to hold their own amongst recruits in the state of Alabama. 3 years ago, I don't know that they even recruited anybody in the state of Alabama under Brian Harsin. I don't know that he could name a high school player in the state of Alabama. I couldn't think. I don't know that he knew a high school coach in the state of Alabama. So that's exciting for sure. But also, I love the energy. Some of the coaches on this staff, I really like. They're energetic. They went against Oklahoma, and I think they will. They go to 5-0. They've got Georgia on the road the next week. Pretty tough first road game of the year.
Sure.
They go 5-0. You're going to see the tiger tails hanging out of the trunks. You're going to hear the body-getters when people honk their horns and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it'll be exciting times. I mean, I'm loving it right now. Just getting kind of caught up with all of this stuff. But you're really going to be loving it around the end of September. Auburn
I think so.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Unfortunately, Auburn does not play a game inside Jordan-Hare Stadium the whole month of October. I don't know how that worked out. There's an off week mixed in there as well, but at Georgia, at Missouri, and at Kentucky. That Kentucky game, we're going to get into that in just a moment. And speaking of that, this will give me a good segue. The king of segues, Barry. Hold on a second.
This Auburn. Oh, hey, how about that?
Yeah, what was that? Anyway, what we're going to do with Total Sports Travel is they can get you to Lexington for that Auburn-Kentucky game. And you know us, we've talked about it many a time. Total Sports Travel, just go to totalsportstravel.com, click the Auburn tab, and they've got everything set up there for you to be in Lexington when the Tigers travel to take on the Wildcats. Hotel accommodations, transfers to the hotel, from the hotel to the stadium and back. Also, they've got tickets available if you need those as well. They've got tours if you want to go up early, Bourbon Trail tours, horse farm tours. No jokes. I know there's a lot of horses in Auburn, but these are like, the thoroughbreds you see at the races. And then, of course, all your pregame tailgate parties as well. Check it out at totalsportstravel.com. And Bama fans, they've got you hooked up for Alabama at Wisconsin in week 3. So if you want to go see the Tide and the Badgers, Total Sports Travel can help you out with that as well. There again, hotel accommodations, pregame tailgate parties, tickets are available if you need them. And they also have a same-day air charter, fly you to the game, fly you back. Folks, all you got to do is cheer your team on to victory. Total Sports Travel handles everything else. Check them out today at totalsportstravel.com.
How about that?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. One of our great sponsors here on the program. So much reaction from some of our fans on our live chat going on right now. There's my buddy Neil and Wally from down here in Troy. Hey, listen,
those guys.
David says, I've listened to programs all over. You two are the best. I'm so glad I found the AM station and now this YouTube channel. It's great having you two together again. What a first show. Keep it going. Love that. Love of that. All of that. Again, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button to be a part of this. We do this. And you can, if you miss a morning, don't fret. We're on all day. We'll do this all, on loop all day until the very next show.
Barry, that's the cool thing about it. And, let's face it. I know we look young. But actually, believe it, we're not going to tell you how old we are. But we're probably older than you are. But be that as it may, we're a little new. I am to the streaming world. But you're right. You can consume us on your time. We're live from 7 to 9. But if it's more convenient for you to check us out during the remainder of the day, so be it. You just go to your YouTube app, type in or search Longshore and McKnight, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Very important.
Now, for a lot of you who, can you believe what Longshore said this morning? Oh, no, I missed it. What did he say? Well, go check it out. It should be right at about the 1 hour and 30-minute mark. If you have a fanboy out there and just want to watch us over and over, we make great background programming when you go about your day, when you're vacuuming or whatever. And hey, let's see what John and Barry
so
got
my wife likes to watch Fox News in the morning. She's got a crush on Bill Hemmer. I'll just go ahead and tell you, she thinks the guy's so cute.
He's a good looking
just loves Bill Hemmer, and if he's on during the night, she goes, oh look, Bill's on. And my sister's the same way. She goes, I'm telling you, I love me some Bill Hemmer. If you weren't here, I'd be going after Bill. I said, okay, I get it. No problem. So she does that. So yeah, you're right. If you're at your office or maybe you're at home, wherever it may be, put us on. Get rid of Bill Hemmer and put us on as kind of your background as you get ready for school or for work or preparing breakfast or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, already Theotis has checked in, wanted to see our wives and everything. My wife Dee, she's just in the other room right now watching it as well. One of these days we're gonna have to have her model some of her Marguerite's jewelry for sure.
We'll have to have a wives' day one day. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. We can do it. We can do it.
That'll be great. All right. So you mentioned a couple of texts. Yes, we are going to talk about Alabama getting a commitment from the number one running back in the country. That's coming. Thanks for the sandpaper and silks. We have a question here, Barry. Is the Phantom finally going to reveal his identity? So I believe, Barry, I don't know this for sure, but the Phantom is going to be like Club Pro guy. Club Pro guy's got his face.
He's got digitally clouded up. Yeah.
So I understand
that's got to be the way to do it.
Yeah, I understand that the Phantom's people have gotten in touch with our producer Gurn Jr. to see about some type of block feature.
Right.
For the
Phantom,
so
just to digitally which I've seen the Phantom before. That may be good anyway. That may be what's called for in the first place.
All right,
that's a good approach. I like that.
Here's one you're going to remember, Barry. This is a good one. This is from our friend Danny in Foley, or Danny in Margaritaville. He's missed you, Barry. He has missed you. All right, he says, I'm not a big podcast fan. I'm old school when it comes to talk radio, but you guys are great on the air, and it's going to be great to see Bucky McKnight and his facial reactions when I bring up Waffle House, Bagman, toilet paper in our conversations. I'm glad to see you guys back at it. President and CEO of the Margarita Fan Club, Danny from Foley. So Danny wanted me to tell you, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and it's interesting. It's like, for so many years we were just audio only, which hid a lot of things. John sitting back and opening up his Phil Steele while Robbie was calling or something like that. You didn't get a chance to see that. But it's like the color episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. Once you saw Aunt B in color, it was not the same, And you're like, Helen Crump actually looked better in color, but now you get to see us while this is going on. This is probably a new
well, Barry, my wife has sent me several texts. Honey, we got to get you tanner. I think it's more the lighting.
The lighting, we're still working on this because I feel like I'm in an inferno right now. I mean, I got to work on mine too. So, we'll tweak it all up.
You mentioned this, and I know our listeners down in the Greenville area can help us out with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little worried about Robbie. And Robbie being able to check us out.
If there's been any reaction that has been more anxiety-inducing than to us, then hey, what's Robbie going to do?
Ooh.
I can't think of it right now. I've had people who have been in contact with Robbie, and Robbie's worried about how he's going to be able to call in and when are you guys starting and all that. It's been a period of great anxiety for Robbie, and I
made several decisions, but after this impromptu separation back in January that we had nothing to do with, and I'm not going to harp on that. I'm not going to spend this format harping on that. I mean, water under the bridge, and we've moved on. But I made the decision. I said, I'm going 2 hours. I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours every day. If you don't have Barry with me, and I said, whatever. So we made that decision. It really rocked his world more than anybody's was Robbie. Now, I don't know if Robbie doesn't get up until a certain time in the morning, but
I suspect so. I suspect that's the deal.
Taking away that third hour really, really rocked his world. So Hopefully he can find us on this format and be able to contribute. Now, I will say this. What about, I think it was Thursday of last week, might have been Friday. Robbie went through all of his preseason predictions. You're right. I read Phil Steele about the first 25 pages of Phil Steele while Robbie was doing that.
You've got your stocks app. You're trying to, I see amalgamated. It's down a point.
Yeah. Got a refill of coffee. Actually went to the men's room. Robbie was, by that time, he was getting to the Greenville High School predictions. And when
which means he's about to wrap it up. He's, when he gets to Greenville, he's gotten serious.
And where I really got him off his game, I said, Robbie, is Greenville going to win more than 2 games this season? I mean, it's like I'd hit him with an uppercut.
John, how can you say that? They've got a sophomore defensive end who they really. Boy. So yeah, we feel your pain. We feel all of that. But it's, I don't know how to say this without sounding condescending, but it's all better now.
Oh yeah.
The long agonizing night is over. Longshore and McKnight are back. We're here. We're there for you. So
yeah, we
you made it through. Everything's going to be better. So there
again, I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, and we'll
does that even matter? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
So do we just blow through it?
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. So when we were on the radio,
we don't have to take a station ID. We don't have to, tick, tick, tick. We don't,
It would, I could tell it would really get under Barry's skin. We'd be getting to the top of the hour and I'd go, it doesn't matter. Let's just keep going. He goes, no. In radio, you got to go to the top of the hour and give them a station ID or something like that. I said, do you really? He goes, yeah, you really do. I mean, okay, let's get this station ID out of the way. So yeah, I guess you're right. Now we just blow through the top of the hour if we want to. That's a great point. Didn't really think about that. Hey, got to give a shout out, Barry. Another one of your favorite viewers and listeners, our man Bob from Pike Road's checking us out this morning. He says he's loving the format, loving the show. Can't wait to get in on the chat room. We're going to give you some more information about that as we get throughout the program, where you can, basically send us a chat while we're on the air. We've got a screen. It's actually on our screen so we can see them coming through, and we'll give you that information and get that going, and we'll be able to share that with you as well. And I will say this, there's some, but John just came in on that one. Yeah, good deal. So we will be able to, there again, I don't want to let too much out of the bag. I know only an hour in, so we got to pace ourselves.
We've got big plans. We've got big plans. Lots of things that are going to be happening that we can't, by just agreements with people and things and all that kind of stuff, we can't let the cat out of the bag. But we're glad you're here with us today. It's Longshore and McKnight. Again, I'm in Troy. John is in Montgomery. For those who don't know, I'm the voice of the Troy Trojans. I do a lot of work on campus. Matter of fact, when I'm through here, I'm headed to campus. I'm getting to do a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of those things coming up a little bit later on as well. But ready for the start of the season, which begins week 0, which I never have loved the name of that.
I don't either. I don't like players wearing the number 0. I don't get it. I just don't. I don't like week 0. I don't like 0
It's
numbers.
weird. It's weird. Do you remember? Then again, John and I are older. Do you remember Robert Parrish for the Boston Celtics?
The Chief.
The Chief. Yeah. I would have given money. John wouldn't have been able to come up with that. You never know what's in that head where it comes out.
Right. Yeah.
00.
Yeah, that's right.
Why 00? Why? Jim Otto, who played for the Oakland Raiders, the center for the Raiders. I always thought it was because his name began with an O and ended with an O that it was 00, right?
No doubt. I remember as a kid asking my father, I said, how does he get to wear 00? And he goes, well, look at his name. Jim Otto was OTTO. So he got to wear 00. And that works. That I get that.
Owen Papo, the linebacker for Auburn. You give him a pass because he wore 0. First name began with an O. That's cool. That's fine. But week 0 doesn't work for college football, because to me that sounds like an admission by the decision makers of college football that okay, it's not really the first week. It's not really week 1. We got to call it something, so we'll call it week 0. You know what week 0 is? You know what that means just by the very title of it? That means week nothing.
Week nothing. Yeah.
0 is the absence of substance. It's nothing.
I should know this.
Bad marketing. Bad marketing.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Who did that song?
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See?
I'm a soldier in the war on poverty. Yeah.
See, Billy told you nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
That's right. Why week 0? You look at it skeptically from the get-go because people are thinking, oh, man, I can't wait until my team plays. Well, don't forget, there are games in the first week. Well, my team plays in the first week. Actually, no, they play in week 0.
They do play in
week 0. Is week 0 a thing? Doesn't that mean nothing? Yeah. So you've got the way it looks. Week 0, the first game of the college football season that you'll be able to watch and everything. It ain't even in America. So you got week 0. It's outside the United States. Does that even count? I mean, how close are we to the WWE? Since when? Now all of a sudden there's going to be total gimmick. It's Florida State versus Georgia Tech, by the way.
Well, not only will Georgia Tech and Florida State be playing in Dublin, College Game Day will be there as well with Nick Saban. I can't imagine Saban's real thrilled about flying over the pond to do a football game between Florida State and Georgia Tech. Now, maybe he's taking his golf clubs and they're going to play a couple of rounds on those Scottish Links courses. I don't know, but I can't imagine Saban's going, we're going where in week 0? What?
Didn't he go a couple of years ago, am I crazy, with Miss Terry to Italy?
Yes.
And I always had the sense that she dragged him, griping and screaming the whole time. We got to go to the Palazzo de what? He ain't going to do anything in Ireland.
Where? Yeah.
Yeah. He ain't going to do anything in Ireland. He's going to sit in there, watch film or something like that. And then when it comes time, he'll go out and do the game day thing.
So, Barry,
He's
to me,
thing out of it.
That was kind of the first indication to me that, maybe Saban's thinking about retiring, softening up a little bit, spending 2 weeks in Europe, going through Italy. And
hey, there's a great, big, beautiful world out here.
I mean, because the prior 16 seasons, he is grinding. I mean, he's out there, griping at 8-year-old kids at his football camp, and he's, going crazy. I'm thinking, wait a minute, Saban's in Italy for 2 weeks? Are you kidding me?
Can't imagine.
There's a new Saban.
While I was away from you, I was loving the stories from Miss Terry about, him getting acclimated back into the real society. It reminds me of that old James Whitmire guy in Shawshank Redemption who finally got out after years, and he's over there bagging groceries at the grocery stores. He's hating it. He wishes he was back in. I'm thinking, because she's saying, they went to McDonald's. And she pulled out her credit card to pay. Says, wait a minute, they take credit cards at McDonald's? I'm thinking, Nick, it's a great, big, beautiful world out there.
Yeah. Sure.
They'll bring McDonald's to your house nowadays if you want to. That kind of stuff. I can't
imagine Saban walking into the Publix there in Tuscaloosa or I guess Cedric still gets his gas for him. But yeah, I mean, he's it's a different world that he's trying to adjust to. I even noticed it at media days, Barry. I mean, there were times, you know how it is. You're in the big room and they've got the game day crew or whatever, it's broadcasting that day. And they're in the back as the coaches are in the front. And they're waiting for the next round of coaches to come through or players. And Saban is sitting over there at that desk, and you can just see it on his face. Wait a minute. What is this stuff called downtime? What is this, just waiting for somebody to get here?
Let's go.
You could tell he was not used to that one bit. And I also thought it was interesting that every coach that came through there knew Saban was in the back of the room. And it was like the anointing of Nick Saban. They all had to say something about him. But as they started their talk, as they addressed the media, they go, well, I want to thank Coach Saban, who's back there, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, again? I mean, really? I mean, let's go. Move on.
Sarkisian, I mean, his team was in the dang playoff last year and everything, and he's sitting there paying homage to him, and I'm thinking, couldn't you do that like at dinner at Morton's or something? I don't know. Why you got to do it now? Because you only have a certain amount of time that you can, ask him questions and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That would be intimidating, though. I'll still remember the time that John and I were standing outside the big room years ago when Shula was the coach. And Shula was the next one in. We were in the foyer, between the big hallway and the big room. We're in the foyer, and in comes Shula, and he sees John, and he knows John, and he's like, "This is just my perception." Shula walks in, and I'm the first one to see him. Before he comes through the door, John's over bebopping doing something else, and it's just and he walks in, and Shula's like. And John says, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? How you doing?" And I didn't know him. I went on a first name basis or anything. Good, John. Good. How are you? Yeah, man. How you hitting them? So and they're chit chatting and all that kind of stuff and everything. And when you're the next coach in that's about to go into that big room and you're looking in there and you're seeing Saban and you're like,
yeah.
What if I say something stupid? What if I say something like, we give the players an extra half hour off on Thursday and give them ice cream afterwards. And you hear Saban in the background going, and everybody.
Yeah. And before I get to that, to Saban, I think that's a great point you bring up. Just to give you to add on to that Mike Shula story. I did kind of broke the ice with him with, hey, how you hitting it? He had been at Capitol Hill on the RTJ Trail for a big event for the Sheriff's Boys and Girls Ranches.
That's exactly right. You were talking with him about Capitol Hill.
And so we were talking about, his golf, because he played and we played a couple of holes together. So that was kind of my icebreaker. But then he turned to me and some other people kind of walked away. He said, man, what's your deal with Brody Croyle? And I had made a comment on the air about Shula still having him in the game when they were up 31-0 against
33-3 against Western Carolina.
Yeah. I knew it was a Western somebody, Western Sizzling or whoever. And I said, well, Coach, I mean, you got a 30-point lead and Brody blows his knee out. I mean, that's what I was kind of critical about. I just didn't think you needed him in the game that time. And I'm thinking this guy, somehow it got back to him that I was criticizing Mike Shula for keeping Brody Croyle in the game that long. And I'm sitting there taking it from him, and I'm not, being argumentative at all. I'm sitting there taking it, and he's not really wearing me out, but he's certainly letting me know, hey, man, I don't appreciate you getting on the air in this state and criticizing me for leaving my starting quarterback in. And I went, well, he blew his knee out, and he's out for the year.
You got to play Brandon Avalos.
So we kind of ended it at that.
Yeah.
Back to the Saban thing you brought up. Here's one of the things I thought about, Barry, particularly towards Kalin DeBoer. Music at practice. The ice cream truck shows up after practice. Assistant coaches are being able to talk to the press. I mean, Saban's got to be going, what the hell's going on up here? Wait a minute. I never let that happen.
Music?
Oh,
at practice?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
here's the insight into that, because I go to Troy practices a good bit. My office is right outside the practice field, and you can tell when they're practicing, even in my office, which doesn't have any windows, because you can hear the music.
Yeah.
I mean, the Troy practice fields is right across the street from Charles Henderson High School. Sometimes I wonder if the kids at Charles Henderson are sitting there rocking out during biology class, because everybody has music at practice. Everybody does that. It's nothing. And when you're going to play on the road at a place that's known to be loud, like Tiger Stadium or Jordan Hare or Bryant Denny or Neyland or something like that, you're going to play it loud. You're going to play it as loud as you can. Everybody does it. Alabama never did it. They never did it. Except in, maybe certain situations, but whatever, practices are always set up in segments where you have the big bullhorn, that this segment is over when you hear, And, I don't know if that's the way it was at JD or anything, but that's how you do it. And at Troy, you have this computerized voice that says, oh, was segment 3, segment 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right after the beep. And that was about all the artificial noise you had at a Saban practice, stuff like that. Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a thing. Players in this day and age, especially when they have all the power, players will ask those questions. Hey, do you play music during your practices? They will ask that, John.
Sure.
And there's players, I'm not saying there's a lot of them, there's players who will not go to your school if you don't play music at practice. It's a dumb reason, but that's true. And if you're playing England Dan and John Ford Coley, or if you're playing David Gates and Bread, or if you're talking about David Bowie, for God's sakes, they ain't coming to your school. They want Nelly and they want all this stuff. They want all of that.
I will say this.
So that's the thing. And Saban never did it. And I'm not second guessing him, but he should have done it years ago. It would have made things easier on him.
I'm with you there. And I will say this. I think it's our man Stephen M. Smith at Touchdown Alabama. It could be somebody else, but they give the playlist every day. So you can read. It's kind of like Miami Vice. You could read in USA Today what music was going to be on the next episode.
Right, yeah.
Same thing with Bama practices. They'll give you the playlist of what happened now, of what played. Now, some of these songs, I don't know it, but they'll mix in some 80s stuff. And I'm going, oh, now here we go.
Yeah.
I can get into a little of that. So they do have somewhat of a mix. It's just, not all current day stuff, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, they like the music. And, I remember when my girls played volleyball, I mean, they blared this music out while they were warming up, and my thing about girls volleyball, they warm up way too long. And I'm thinking, what's up with all this music playing while they're warming up? But that's what the kids want today.
That's what they want for sure. At practice at the Troy scrimmage on this past Saturday, I was out there and they're playing music. They're warming up. They haven't really started scrimmaging or anything. And me and Chris Blackshear, our sideline reporter, we're standing there talking. All of a sudden, here comes some AC/DC. They're playing a little. Yeah, that's exactly what they were playing. They're playing a little Back in Black, and we're both saying, all right. And we're looking at Ian, who's the director of operations, and we're giving him the thumbs up on that and everything. He's over across the way. And all of a sudden, here comes one of the assistant coaches over there, and he comes over to him and he said, no. And all of a sudden, here it goes. It's P. Jeezy or Rockstar or something like that.
Well, you got to think something.
And all the players, because they're stretching and they're thinking, what in the world is this? So, that's a thing.
Sure. Some of these kids, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they probably don't know the vintage AC/DC. They don't know the vintage, Led Zeppelin, some of that stuff. Heck, they don't even know, some of the vintage 80s stuff that plays from some time. But I do like the mixture here and there. Barry, I'm going to turn back the clock here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Our man Stewart is viewing us today up in Birmingham. Yep, Stewart's got us on. He sent me a picture. He's got it on the big screen there at his office, checking us out. Stewart is going to join us on Friday because, Barry, a big event going on here in Montgomery at the train shed. The Hog Days of Summer is this weekend, and Stewart's going to be telling us all about that on Friday. But he's already got us tuned in today up in Birmingham. As a matter of fact, gotten several texts from people up in the Birmingham area that are checking us out today, and we greatly appreciate them being on with us.
We're worldwide. I do know this about the Hog Days of Summer. It's a summer barbecue music fest. Drive-by truckers, I believe.
Yeah.
Chris Jacobs, George Porter Jr. and the running partners that's what you need to be playing at practice, by gosh, if you ask me. I'm looking forward to that for sure. This is going to be a thing. We may have to give a prize at the end of the day to the person who gets closest to the over-under. Coach Bohannon on live chat, he says the over-under on how many times John puts on and removes his glasses is 47.
Yeah.
Who wants some action? Let me know. Coach Bohannon's making book on that.
I tell you, Coach, I can see far away. I tell you this, if I stand over a putt, I can still see the ball. I can still see the break of the green.
That's
It's just
not what
up
you're
close.
Forsum's saying. You're Forsum saying, yeah, I didn't see that break, I didn't realize the lie of the green.
But it's this up close stuff. I got to put the specs on, Coach, if it's all right. It's just, yeah.
47. 47 is the number.
Yeah, it's probably going to be that just about every day, so I can see the screen. But
Coach
then I got to take them off. So just bear with me there. Hey, at least I've got some shorts on. At least I did roll up here, and I didn't come in the boxers. I actually put on a pair of shorts today.
That's another thing I was interested in. And again, we got lots of sports to talk about and all this. Here we are. It's our first podcast. It's our first foray into all of this after years and years and years and years of living together. And I was watching a couple of other people in their presentations just to see exactly what they do. And, hat on backwards, T-shirt, stuff like that. I'm not a hat on backwards T-shirt guy. I am going to be wearing shorts once in a while, and there's going to be days when I'm on the road in a hotel room at Troy. But, by and large, I mean, give me a collared shirt. That's pretty much what you can expect. Shorts, maybe so.
I did actually jump in the shower before I got on today.
Yeah.
I thought, I might need to clean up a little bit, wake up a little bit. You might see me in a hat from time to time. As you can tell, I'm kind of losing my hair and it's getting thin and gray and whatever, but I'm to the point now I really don't care.
Well, I got to go straight to Troy whenever I'm done with this, so I've got to have a shower ahead of time.
Yeah.
Again, for those of you who those of you who are maybe discovering us for the first time, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. Different locations. We've done the show for years and years, the vast majority of which we've been in different locations. So being remote is no surprise to us. Gurn Jr., our producer, is in Nashville producing this thing. And again, he's doing a wonderful job. But we are on the air from 7 to 9 live every weekday. We loop throughout the day. So if you miss it, you can check it out really any time of the day. If there's a segment or a guest that you want to see again, that's not going to be a problem as well. Our title sponsor, our presenting sponsor, is Bud Light. Cannot tell you how satisfied we are with the continuing support that they've given John Longshore and me in our careers over the year. And they were absolutely just elated that we were going to be able to do this. We need you, though. We need you. Well, if you're watching us, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a show if you're an absolute subscriber. Make sure you do all that, and you can be a part of this program, an integral part, just as much as John and I and Gurn are.
Yep. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. We really appreciate their sponsorship, along with our friends at Stivers Automotive, Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, and Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Our good friends at Phoenix Physical Therapy, getting you back in the game is what they are all about. And Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air, serving the river region for over 116 years. Folks, they're doing something right for all of your service needs. They're the only company I trust. They're the only company I recommend. Go to calldixie.com for all of your plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and even garage door issues. Dixie can handle all of that for you. All right, how about this one, Barry? We get a text here. I think Coach might have just maybe been edged out based on the timing of this text that I got. But a text was sent out. A drinking game. Every time Longshore takes his glasses on and off, you got to take a shot.
Ooh, it's too early. Too early.
Might be too early for that, but that'd be an interesting, what was it? The Bob Newhart show. Every time they said Bob, you had to take a drink.
Hi, Bob. Yeah. Hi, Bob. Yeah. As we speak, there are, players are going to classes right now.
Oh, yeah.
Classes begin at 8. John never knew that, but they do. 8 o'clock classes are going on. Everybody has had to move to afternoon practices, big stuff on the weekends, scrimmages and all of that kind of stuff. If you look all around the length and breadth of things with so many changes, who are the teams? Who are the ones that nationally that are gonna be the ones to look out for? Who are the surprise teams? I kind of like Auburn as a surprise team. I kind of like what they're doing. And certainly they were able to get out of the doldrums that they were in. I like it. I like their, what's the word? I like their upside. I
I do
think they've
too.
got a high ceiling. I think they could
Someone,
make some noise, but again, the schedule has a lot to do
yeah,
with it. We shall see.
someone asked me this yesterday, and I've said this. I was actually in Tallahassee yesterday speaking to the Tallahassee Lions Club there at the restaurant right across from Hot O'Brien Stadium. It's a
Yep.
Mexican place there that we
Yeah.
go. My good friend Al Elmore, who played at Alabama and had the record for the longest
Yep.
touchdown pass until Jeff Dunn hit Pierre Good against Tennessee at Legion Field and broke that back in the 80s, I believe it was. Anyway, I was asked about Auburn's record. And I'm going to go ahead and reveal this because Friday we're going to go over this a little bit in more detail.
Yeah.
But Barry, I've got Auburn going 8-4, and I kind of go back and forth. Do I think that they have a better chance of going 9-3 or 7-5? 8-4 is where I am, but I kind of think they got a better chance to go 9-3 rather than 7-5. But I'm sticking with 8-4. That's kind of where I am with Auburn because I just am not. They're going to be better. Here's the thing: you're not going to see Auburn pulling to Mexico State. You're not going to see them pull a Maryland. That I don't think is going to happen in year 2 under Hugh Freeze. But I do think Auburn is not at the point from a depth or an impact player standpoint to compete with Auburn. I mean, with Georgia and with Alabama. I do kind of wonder, how really good is Missouri? They're going to Columbia. And I mentioned that Kentucky game, Barry. To me, where that game sits on the schedule, that could be one of those lookout games. Watch out. Been on the road a lot. We just had a physical game against Missouri. We're on the road again. To me, that Kentucky game where it sits on the schedule is kind of a letdown possibility. So there's just 4 games, the A&M game right before the Iron Bowl. And you mentioned even Oklahoma. I mean, I'm kind of like you. I think Auburn can beat Oklahoma because it's at home. They got a lot of momentum. But to me, there's just 4 games on their schedule that I just cannot convince myself they're going to win.
If you take, say, the ACC, which obviously looks different now. For goodness sakes, Cal and Stanford are in the ACC now, so it's a different ACC. And Florida State absolutely got screwed last year in the playoff. If Auburn was in the ACC, I'd like them a lot. I mean, 1, 2, something like that. I'd like. The biggest difficulties Auburn has got, number one, I'm with you. They are not there yet with a depth standpoint. They're a ton better from a talent standpoint. But this is the SEC. I'd say just in and of themselves, Auburn fans, you're doing pretty good. You're doing all right. But you're in the SEC, and it does not match up great against those yet, just simply because every school at the top, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Texases,
baby, I just think
they've got more dudes than you've got. You've got more than you used to, but still not where it needs to be.
We've been talking about this for a long time. When it comes to Hugh Freeze, you got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. I know Auburn fans are sick of hearing about Georgia and Kirby Smart, and they're going to win the title, and they're sick of, wow, Kalin DeBoer's got the number 2 recruiting class in the country and blah, blah, blah. I know they're sick of that. And Auburn wants to be up there in the upper echelon and be talked about just like all these other schools, but you got to be patient. And I think they got the right guy. I've said it for years. Timing is everything.
To your credit.
And I think when Hugh Freeze went to Liberty, that was kind of his, kind of his penalty phase, if you will. And he had to kind of reestablish himself and his reputation and all that kind of good stuff. He was ultra successful at Liberty. Auburn saw that, and to me, he's the perfect fit. He's coached in this league. He knows what recruiting is like in this league. He knows what Auburn people want. Brian Harsin didn't have a clue. And I don't know what in the world was going on with Malaton the last 3 or 4 years, but I do think they've got the right guy in place. They just got to be patient.
The more I think about it, the more I think. I want to apologize to the viewers and listeners from a previous life. I was telling you for years when Harsin got hired, Alan Green made the hire.
Mm. Mm.
And I thought, this is promising because it's outside the box. The Alan Green hire was outside the box. He wasn't an Auburn guy, didn't have that background. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that works for Auburn. He hires Brian Harsin. I had done games when I had broadcast games when Harsin was at Arkansas State. I had broadcast games when Harsin was at Boise State.
Yep.
And I was familiar with his work when he was an assistant as a coordinator at Texas. And I thought, this guy knows ball. This guy knows how to move the football. He's, kind of a hard charger, all that kind of stuff. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, he got to Auburn and I'm thinking, okay, all right, I'm open. I'm open. Let's see. Let's see what he's got. I've been cautioning the Auburn fans to just give him a chance, give Alan Green a chance. And boy, they just did not get it. I talked with Auburn people. Jason was one of them. I talk with Auburn people all the time, and they're like, he's just not doing anything. He's just, recruiting. They've never seen anything like it. Brian Matthews, I don't even know that he's trying.
Barry,
I think he figures that they could just get a couple people in school. He could teach them offensive football, and there you go. He said it wasn't that they were missing on a lot of kids. They just weren't trying with a lot of kids. So
you're exactly right. And when we would talk to Jason Caldwell of Auburn Undercover and Brian Matthews of AuburnSports.com, you could sense it. You could feel it in their voices. I mean, nothing was going on. They were frustrated. And you can certainly see the change, not only in their reporting and on their website, but when they join us, they see a difference. They feel the energy at Auburn. They see this staff and what they're doing and how hard they're working. And I remember the latter part of Tuberville's reign at Auburn. Brian was kind of down in the dumps. So you could sense it, man. We're just not, you're not recruiting. He's not doing well. Things aren't going great. And the same thing with Harsin. It was mind-boggling that this guy thought he was such a good coach that he could get anybody in over there and turn them in to all SEC performers. And folks, I've never coached a down of SEC football in my life, but I can tell you, you got to have the Jimmies and the Joes. And Nick Saban knew that. I mean, you got to have the best players out there.
This reminds me for many years when the Atlanta Braves, and I don't want to talk about the Braves this year, when the Atlanta Braves, when they were rolling out Avery and Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz, and John says, I could sit down, I could manage the Braves better than Bobby Cox. I mean, what's it take? Just say, hey, you go out there. It's all about the players. One of my favorite Troy coaches of all time, he used to tell me when we'd watch, games together, he'd say, look at that coach over there. He actually thinks he's coaching something. Yeah, you got better players than everybody else, that you're way ahead of the game. If your favorite team, and I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, if the Jaguars are playing and, you're in a conversation with your buddies, oh, man, they could never beat the Chiefs. They played the Chiefs a week ago in the preseason. They could never beat the Chiefs. Well, if they don't play them, how do you know? It's the same thing when we're talking about recruiting with Harsin. Well, is he getting beaten by people? I mean, is he getting by people with prospects? No, he's not getting beaten by other schools on prospects. Is it getting beaten when you're not even competing? It's the same.
Yeah.
That was still. And I had such high hopes for those. I had hopes. I figured if Auburn fans gave him a chance, but there was nothing. I'm thinking he's none. And so anyway, the point of the story is that out of all the years, and I first enrolled at Auburn many years ago when Coach Dye was there, and it was rolling pretty good. From that point until that second year of Harsin, I had never seen anything close to the lack of talent that they had. I mean, Freeze, brutal. And I'm with you. To John's credit, he said even before the get-go, a lot of times John beats the get-go because he'll get it going himself. He said, look, Auburn fans, You just hire Freeze. Yeah, he's got some baggage, but that's not stopped you before, and it
Yeah.
hasn't. In other words,
But they're
he
there
had to
to
start
win.
at ground
No
zero,
doubt. No doubt
John,
about it.
from the
And
bottom.
he's there to win football games. And, Hugh Freeze, I believe, is going to be able to win some football games. It's a lot different. I talked about this earlier as well. Somebody was asking me about Kalin DeBoer. Here's the big difference. They asked me, do you think Kalin DeBoer is going to have a Louisiana Monroe type game similar to what Saban did in his first year at Alabama? And I said, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And the main reason is Kalin DeBoer fell into a wealth of talent in Tuscaloosa. There is a lot of depth. There is a lot of talent. When Nick Saban rolled in, there wasn't. And he had to transform that program into what he wanted it, with the type of player, with the type of attitude. Who was that wide receiver, Barry? DJ Hall.
DJ Hall. I knew you were going to at the very end when they're about to lose that game to ULM. Who was the quarterback? I can't even remember that.
Oh, geez.
But somebody on comments, let us know. They had a last gasp and they threw a pass to DJ Hall. It was a go route to the sidelines. And John, it was 4 rows into the stands.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even close. And I'm thinking, that's it. That's all you got. They were not very good. You're exactly right.
So Saban had to rebuild that program with depth, talent, impact players. We talked about the recruiting class that had Julio Jones. That really is where it started. That was probably Saban's biggest recruit. That right there, getting Julio Jones and establishing South Alabama and getting that type of player into that program was huge. But DeBoer, he didn't have to worry about that. Now, obviously, he's gone off on the recruiting trail and done really well with the number 2 class at the moment. And Courtney Morgan, the general manager, Barry, I saw today that Southern Cal offered Courtney $1 million to come to L.A. to be the general manager of the Southern Cal Trojans. That is amazing. Alabama is paying him $825,000. Nothing to sneeze at. Only a $325,000 raise. He's been on campus 8 months.
Yeah, he came with came with DeBoer from Washington.
Yep.
And evidently he's the stuff. He's the whatever a general manager does. And it's different than a general manager in the NFL or Major League Baseball. It's different in the sense, for those people that don't know, it is what you want it to be. The general manager at Alabama is different than the general manager at Fresno State. The job title is what your athletic director says it's going to be. But evidently this guy is the guy now, because that kind of money is coordinator money.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So anyway, evidently what he does it really well.
Yeah, he gets off the plane with DeBoer when they touch down in Tuscaloosa. Yeah. Flew from Seattle with him. All right, how about this, Barry? Crypto Capstone in our chat room says he was close to the field on the 20-yard line for the 07 Iron Bowl, and DJ Hall was laughing and cutting up seconds after the game. Embarrassing, not the Bama standard. I hate to pick on DJ Hall, but everybody points back to DJ Hall in that 07 season, that maybe he was the root of all of the unraveling of that team, maybe not as focused or determined or as really all in as he needed to be. And maybe it's a little unfair to DJ Hall, but it's amazing how many people always point to him.
Yeah. And he is right about that. It's all coming back to me. Believe me, we were down in Monroe for years after that, for football, basketball, whatever, with Troy, and they still had that billboard up, that they had beaten Alabama. Let's go to the comment from Lenny. Yeah, he's right. Sure. The quarterback who threw it was John Parker Wilson. That was, you're exactly right about that, and that jogs my memory, because John Parker Wilson did throw it, and it was into the stands, but the wide receiver was Keith Brown. Evidently, I kidded to a buddy of mine. He must have run the wrong route, Now,
Barry,
he was supposed to go into the stands, evidently.
Is Keith Brown related to the Brown that caught the pass in the back of the end zone from Freddie Kitchens in the Iron Bowl?
Yeah,
that the official said he was out of bounds?
It was not. It was technically it was Curtis Brown, and it definitely was Freddie Kitchens who threw it. But you inadvertently made a little mistake there because you said in the back of the end zone. Actually, technically, it was out of the back of the end zone.
You know, if we'd only had instant replay back then, I'm just kind of like that Penn State game. The pass that Walter Lewis threw to Preston Gothard, the back of the end zone, and Matt Gooman's uncle was the back judge, said he was out.
or maybe you take a look and you see, hey, Barry Krause really didn't stop whoever it was, Matt Gooman.
I tell you, it was
the nose of the football was actually a quarter of an inch over the line. Instant replay, don't get me started on that as well.
I will say this, maybe on the third down, but on the fourth down, he definitely didn't get over. I thought the third down play on the goal line stand was closer than the fourth down play.
Also, this from Joe, and gosh, we love our viewers. Joe says the biggest difference in Auburn, see if you agree with this. I'll read it. You take first crack at it. The biggest difference in Auburn now versus the past 2 decades is alignment. From the top down, the program is in sync right now. That's from Joe.
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, Joe, that's a great question. I totally agree with you, Joe. I've been saying this forever, beating my head up against a wall. Look, Alabama went through the same thing. When Coach Bryant stepped down, Alabama went through 25 years of trying to figure out what they need to do to get it right. And over and over again, I said, you got to get the big wigs out of there. You got to let these coaches do their thing and have total control. Finally, they did it in Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban. They handed the car keys over to him, said, you're driving the bus. Nobody's going to mess with you. And Saban put his foot down quick. He wasn't going around to the rubber chicken circuit, talking to all these people, wasn't letting people come into practice, all this type of stuff. He was the boss. And Auburn, it looks, has finally figured that out as well. Hugh Freeze doesn't need to be giving his cell phone number to all these big fat cats. They don't need to be telling him what to do. You've got to let Hugh Freeze run this program, let him sink or swim, but don't have the outside influence and distractions. And it Barry, from all indications, that is what's going on at Auburn. John Cohen, the athletic director, is firmly behind Hugh Freeze, letting him run the show and keeping all those outsiders away from him, stopping the distractions so Freeze can concentrate on what he does best, and that's coaching and recruiting.
The alignment is it's kind of a buzzword, Joe. I get that. We're aligned. You see that happen a lot, or you see that word used a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not necessarily so. Oh, we're totally aligned. Whenever you're at SEC Media Days and you're watching a coach whose team is middle of the road, they'll always talk about how they like their university's alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, if you ever watch NASCAR post race, my blah, blah, blah Ford was blah, 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 this and everything like that. And my Napa Auto Parts team really, the coaching staff, they'll always bring up, well, our president, Dr. Egghead, said, our athletic director, Joe Blow, and everything, we're all really, really aligned. And they get fired in October, So alignment, I don't really, that's one of those words like, phrases like at the end of the day, or to be clear, let's be clear. I hate that nowadays. Alignment normally is a word, Joe, that I don't like. But I can tell you that is you're absolutely dead on with that at Auburn, at least more than it's been in a long time.
And you go back and
that's
you
key.
Look at what happened in Tuscaloosa, from the chancellor to the president of the university to the athletic director, everybody on down. It was Saban's deal. I mean, we kidded about. I'll never forget. They were adding on once again to the Malmore athletic facility. I mean, I'd love to know how many times they added on and revamped it and modernized it and whatever. Because, it seemed like every year there was a project inside the Malmore building. One year they were expanding the weight room. I mean, they had just redone the weight room and made it this fabulous Taj Mahal. But something about it, Saban wanted more. So they have concrete in the ground. They've got steel girders coming out of it. It is a construction site. It had been under construction for 2 months. And then there's a press release that the Board of Trustees okayed the project. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this thing's been going on for 2 months. And that's the power that Saban had. Now, Hugh Freeze isn't going to have that right now at first, but if he keeps winning and they leave him alone, that's the type of power and that's the type of success they can have there at Auburn.
It's going to be an interesting year because this is the first year. And again, I agree with John that Auburn fans need to have patience, and they had patience last year. But this is going to be the first year where I think most Auburn fans are going to be like, okay, all right, this is it. Let's start winning some football games. I get the groundwork. I get, paying your dues and getting alignment and all that kind of stuff. And I understand last year and all that. But let's win some football games.
You got to win some games. And like I said earlier,
this is that year, not to win it all, but to make some significant progress in the W side of the column.
I'll be shocked if Auburn has a New Mexico State or Maryland game this year. They're going to lose, but they're not going to lose to teams like that. And they're not going to lose games like they lost last year. I really believe that. I think Peyton Thorne is more comfortable his second year in the program. As we mentioned, these wide receivers, I think the offensive line play is going to be better. Now, I was reading Philip earlier this week, Barry, and by his account, the way I read it, Auburn's going to be in the playoff. I'm not going to go that far. But reading PM earlier this week, I'm thinking, man, he is really high on this Tiger football team.
Okay, we're going to get to David in just a moment with his comment in here. But again, I missed this. We've been on the air for an hour and 40 minutes, and I just flat missed it. We're trying to get background on John and I. For those of you new people, and if you're new to us, not we're all new to this format and this enterprise. But if you're new to John and Barry, Longshore and McKnight, John and I go back together over 20 years. I've been in radio for almost 40. John and I have been together for 27 years. And we're back together now on a video format. And we're talking a little bit about, our differences in personality and beliefs and things like that. There are going to be a couple of inside jokes now and again, inside references that you're going to have to understand. And I may have to cut out and just pause things for a moment now and again and kind of give you an aside. Philip is Philip Marshall. Philip is what is he, John? The senior editor, the senior writer at auburnundercover.com. Philip has been at this for a long time. Philip Marshall. He wrote at one point for the Montgomery, what was then known as a newspaper.
I don't know, Barry, if it was the Montgomery Advertiser or the Alabama Journal. We had two papers. Believe it or not, back in the day in the capital city, we had two papers.
Which didn't matter to John because he was a little kid then, and he wouldn't buy it anyway. He'd go steal it from the the library. Back when the library, before everything was digital, you used to have them on these big, long wooden rods. John would steal that for two things. A dowel, a wooden dowel. Yep. He would steal it. He would steal the newspaper from the library for two things. Number one, he wanted to read Philip from a little kid. Oh, let's see what Philip's got to say today. Yep. Number two, he had to find the lines because they weren't. You couldn't just, hey, here it is right here on your phone. You had to actually look in the paper. Well, since then, John, when he talks about Auburn, when John truly tries to take the pulse of the Auburn nation, he would do two things. He would talk to his in-laws, and he would read Philip.
Yes.
Well, let's see what John and Jason Caldwell, John and Brian Matthews, all good friends, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that, that was it. But if John truly wanted to take the temperature, like Dr. Judd, take the temperature of the Auburn nation, I know for a fact, because he'd said, all right, well, because John talks to himself when he's off the air. Okay, let's see what Philip has to say. What? No way, is he? Oh, come. So anyway, when he talks about Philip, he's talking about Philip Marshall. It's copyrighted stuff, which even now, I don't even know if we can't do that now, which we couldn't do, but we did anyway on an FCC licensed radio station, but it's auburnundercover.com. We're going to, believe me, he's going to reference that a lot.
There's not many days, Barry, that I don't wake up and check out what Philip is writing about it. Auburn Undercover.
Usually the second thing he does every day.
Yep, pretty much. You're right. And well, maybe the third.
To start his day.
Yeah, I get the coffee second. But anyway.
Okay, that's third.
So I've been a subscriber to Auburn Undercover for like ever. You know, like I'm like a double platinum member, VIP.
Subscriber.
Yes, it's the best $9.95 I spend a month. Love it.
I mean, for those of you who have known him for forever, I mean, John used to use a student ID and not even a fake one. He used to use a student ID to get subscriptions online to like The Athletic or ESPN Plus and stuff like that. But he actually, and this still blows my mind, he is interested enough in the content at auburnundercover.com, which is great. And more especially, so obsessed with Philip. He actually shells out his own $9.95 every month.
Yes. Best $9.95 I spend every month. The Barry, I write it off on my taxes now. Don't get me wrong.
It is a business expense.
It is a business expense. Yeah. But it all started at Cloverdale Junior High School. I'm like 8th grade, bebopping into the library, get that newspaper off that rack, look up, boom, there's Philip. I read Philip's articles. I've been reading him since like the late 70s.
I mean, you know, he's reading it. He's locked in, reading it in 8th grade, feet up in the library. Bell rings. Yeah. I'll get.
Yeah.
You know, second bell rings. Hang on. Almost done. Okay. All right. He'll put it up, and he's a neat freak. He'll have to get the newspaper exactly right, the way he had it, back into the dowel up there. Then he'd go to homeroom.
Wait, here's the deal, Barry. I had to go to detention hall because I was tearing the section of the newspaper out that had the point spreads in it.
You knew better than that. You knew better than that.
Yeah. So I'm having to write them down. Yeah, I'm 8th grade. See, Chiefs -3.5, Lions +4. Okay, Bengals -2.5. So I'm writing them all down.
Mississippi Southern +6.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The bell's ringing. I'm writing them all down. So yeah, it was point spreads and Philip. So I've got a long history with Philip. So I'll read him, and I read him earlier this week. Man, he was really high on what he's seeing out of preseason camp at Auburn. And who am I to argue if he says that he's been there longer than anybody? And he's all over it. So I'm feeling good about it. I'm with you. I do think this is going to be a better year. I think Auburn fans are going to be very excited, very energized. As I mentioned, they're going to be losses, but they're not going to be these embarrassing losses like you saw last year. Not going to happen.
Well, with that being said, John, that's a perfect segue. I've been thinking about this, David. We didn't forget you. Bottom of the screen, David on our live chat says, "Did I miss something? I could be wrong. I often am. Did you predict Auburn to beat Oklahoma and Alabama to lose to them?" Here's the deal. And David, I don't necessarily know. I didn't predict Alabama to lose to Oklahoma, but I did predict Auburn to beat them just because I like it where it is on the schedule. You know, it's the final game of the homestand. And I thoroughly agree with John, which I don't often do, but I thoroughly agree this time that by the time that thing rolls around, Auburn is going to be rolling. They're going to have some confidence. They will, a lot of those young players, they will have maybe discovered some things about themselves. I like where it sits. I didn't predict Alabama to lose to Oklahoma, but I definitely think Auburn beats Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Barry. They're going to have a lot of confidence going into that 5th home game in a row, but I do think Oklahoma is going to be their toughest test of the 4 games that they will have played prior to that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm ready to go off on a limb right now and say they'll win against Oklahoma, but I could certainly see that. Now, where Oklahoma sits on the schedule for Alabama, I think is very interesting because the Tide has to go to Norman the week before the Iron Bowl, which is in Tuscaloosa, but they do go to Norman. And Barry, it can be really cold in late October, mid-late October in Norman, Oklahoma. That could be a factor. There again, playing on the road before you play your in-state rival the next week. There again, I think what's so interesting about Texas and OU coming into the league is how the schedule has been set up, and it's going to be the same way next year. Whoever you play at home this year, you'll play those same teams on the road in conference next year. They won't change it up until the 26th season, which I really believe, Barry, in 26, we're going to 9 conference games.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me because, back when you and I started having these conversations and I was fine with 8, it was a 12-team league back then,
Yep.
14 teams now. It's just, I mean, if the league is this big, 9 games you've got to go to it. Otherwise, there are going to be schools in this league that you never play, that you won't play in a decade. So yeah, I do think that happens. Whether it happens by 26, I kind of agree with that as well. We shall see. Again, you see in my background over here, you see in John's background, Longshore and McKnight. Can't stress it enough, especially early in our growth. And you viewers are so valuable and all that just by hitting the like button and the subscribe button and being as faithful as, quite frankly, you've been for 27 years to John and me.
Yep.
That helps us out a whole lot. But what has really been heartening to me in this little enterprise has been the absolute steadfast support, John, that we continue to get from our sponsors.
Well, you're right, Barry, and we couldn't do it without them. And they had a lot to do with it. A lot of them made suggestions and kind of pushed us in this direction, and they wanted us to do it, and we greatly appreciate that. Our good friends at Bama Budweiser and Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Stivers Automotive with Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, and of course, Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Hey, folks, price sells cars, and nobody's going to beat the prices at Stivers, nor the selection. Nobody's got more vehicles on the ground than our good friends at Stivers. They've got the vehicle you want right here, right now, today. And of course, their sales associates are the best in the business. Our good friends at Phoenix Physical Therapy, getting you back in the game is what Phoenix Physical Therapy is all about. And Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air, in business in the River region for over 116 years. It's the only service company I trust. It's the only one that I'll recommend. Check them out at calldixie.com. But Barry, so many more, from Riverbank and Trust to Jim Massey Cleaners to Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, City of Montgomery, Prattville Carpet, and the Destin Connection Seafood Market, just to name a few. I know there's so many more that are coming on board as well, and we greatly appreciate it, because there again, we can't do it without you. And of course, as Barry mentioned, also you, all of our viewers and listeners, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, tell your friends where we are and what we're doing. We certainly want to spread the word to each and everyone out there, so we can talk some sports and we can have some good chats with you as well. Speaking of that, Barry, I might have missed it, but I'm getting a lot of people that are asking me about it. I know our chats are coming through. Yep. Is there, what are we doing here with that one? Because I'm not real sure, but I see the chats. What's the best way for our viewers and listeners to get in on the chat room?
Well, you can, there is a live chat. You look at the bottom of the screen, or you look on the screen, and there's a chat area out there. You can basically, and a lot of people are doing this. A lot of people I've noticed have really kind of embraced this. When you're sitting in front of the screen watching us, you can just sit there and you can tap it in. If you're watching us on your computer, you can do that. You can do it on your phone, whatever. It's probably the easiest way. We're going to give you a lot of different options. Again, this is our first show.
Yep.
And obviously, people like Les at the bottom of the screen, who's been one of my dear friends for years down in Ozark. He said, I'm so glad y'all are back together again. It wouldn't have been football season without both of y'all being back together. Great first show on this new format. Les, thank you so much. It is a new format for us, and we are going to be continuing to add things to this the entire time. There's going to be more ways for you to interact with us, to be honest with you. Maybe, live phone calls. We're working on that. A chance, for a lot of guests and things of that nature. So yeah, this is just the first one for us.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's going to be plenty more features, plenty of more bells and whistles, and we're going to have loads of guests and loads of content. There's still things we're working out, like, for our commercial sponsors, commercial breaks.
Sure.
I mean, we've done 2 hours and I haven't you need to use a bathroom yet. We're going to have to work on that. Stuff like that.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, but there'll be commercial breaks. So there'll be things like that. And for our potential sponsors of Longshore and McKnight,
Well, Barry,
We'll have different ways for you to get in contact with us, because we certainly would love to have you as a part of this as well. And we will have commercial breaks. We will have a chance, if you choose, to have some visual content of your commercial advertisement as well.
Oh, you better believe that. That is coming, and that will certainly be a part of what we're doing. Strawboy says River Region Straw chat room has a nice ring to it. You're right, Strawboy. It does have a nice ring to it. I'll call you later today. He also says, boom, plus 250 hits with the Philip Marshall reference. You knew that was coming.
I thought it would be coming like immediately, but not that late. Dennis Mitchell has chimed in.
Awesome.
Dennis is, Dennis is he was the Lifetime Achievement Award winner on a previous show.
Yes, he was.
If you want punctuation, Dennis hitting your guy. Dennis Mitchell says, welcome back, John and Barry. Barry, your comments on the recent pro wrestling death of Sika and Kevin Sullivan. Thank you. That is from Dennis Mitchell.
Love it, Dennis.
Dennis, I got to tell you, I got to come clean. I've always been honest with you, at least as far as you know. The past, I guess it's been 8 months since the last time I was on live with John. I've taken a break from pro wrestling. Other than Dennis's text apprising me of it, I've taken a hiatus. So I know who Sika was. Kevin Sullivan. Dennis, I don't have a comment.
Barry, I've actually, in your absence, had to kind of sharpen up on my wrestling.
Dennis says, he said, it was Alpha that just died. Sika was a few months ago.
Yeah. So we're going to try to stay up on the wrestling for you, Dennis, but that's where we need you.
Okay. Yeah.
Dennis, that's where we need you. You got to bring the wrestling content to us so we can spread the word for you. It's kind of like Robbie down there in Greenville. I mean, without Robbie's high school analysis and breakdown, I'm not sure we could cover all the high schools in this state without Robbie's help.
The word is with Robbie, he won so much barbecue that he wasn't, and he'd been on a diet.
Oh, wow.
That Robbie had lost a lot of weight, and he's wanting to be able to pick football games with us and all that, but he's not necessarily going to be interested in a grand prize or something like that. Good to hear again from our buddy Chris from the Hertz counter at Montgomery Regional Airport. Great guy. My good friend Gunnar Whetstone. Gunner's checking in. Neil Armstrong, Jeff, and Danny, and Greg, and Mitchell from Montgomery, and all of those. We are, again, this is the first one today. I know it sounds polished and urbane and intelligent. We knew that would happen, but we've still got some things we're working out. We do have to stop the Otis at the top of the hour, but you'll be able to watch it again and again and again. I'm not sure how we'll stop, but we'll stop and just say goodbye or something like that pretty soon. But
I do see the clock ticking. I love this. And so I know we got about little over 2 minutes before we get to the top of the hour. But Barry, the great thing about it is if you missed any of our content today, we're going to be there for you for the remaining 22 hours until we come back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
And here's the other thing. Again, this is just housekeeping. This is not sports content, but this is our first show. If you're drive time, you can listen to us. Just get it on your phone right now. You can stream it. I stream a ton of stuff over my phone, ball games and things like that nature. So if you think, Lee, I hate to leave John and Barry, I hate to leave Longshore at night, but I got to go to work. Get your smartphone, get your YouTube app, find it there, hook it in. Don't watch it while you're driving. I've seen that before. Don't do that. We are not advocating that.
Not good.
No, but you can listen to the audio of all of this and you won't miss a moment as well. John, you and I have been together for a long, long time. We have seen a lot. We have done a lot. We have said a lot, but we have never been as accessible as we are these days. And that's a blessing for you guys. We are fired up about that.
Very, very excited about this. And I just can't tell you how pleased we are with everybody participating and getting in. And there, as Barry mentioned, we got a lot more coming at you. Today's just the first day, but we're certainly excited about what's to come. As we mentioned, tomorrow, our first guests will be a part of our programming tomorrow. And that, of course, will be Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover around 7:30. And also Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. David Scott and his great crew over there bringing you Rodney Orr each and every week. And then on Friday, we've got some good things coming up as well. Where I was right and where I was wrong on Friday. And you want to hear some throat clears and some chuckling and some, what did you just say? Get ready for that on Friday.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to the judges on a lot of those. Judges, was he really right on that? Or was there just an excuse because he didn't know that, such and such and so was going to happen?
Yeah.
That's bound to be fun as well.
So really looking forward to tomorrow. Going to be a lot of fun. The remainder of the week, the remainder of the year as well. So we got a lot coming at you. But really, if you missed anything today, you can always go back and check it out at your convenience at YouTube, and just search Longshore and McKnight.
It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in.